Rob and Akiva need a podcast, and they need your help. Can you make it onto the wheel? Rob and Akiva need a podcast. Yeah, they'll buy or sell your ideas. They'll talk about it till you've gotten your fill. Every weekend, better attend. You can guess what will be coming up next. Rob and Akiva need a podcast.
Yes, that's right. Rob and Akiva need a podcast. We are back, episode number 115. Very excited for RAANAP X, where we are going to be hearing some TED Talk style presentations from a number of panelists here today on a very educational episode of Rob and Akiva need a podcast. And now here is a man who is fired up and ready to go, because that I'm hearing a rumor we're going to hear a presentation about the benefits of Francisco Lindor on all of our lives. Here is the great Uncle Akiva Wienerkur.
I just had a thought where, like, is there anybody who doesn't get like the TED Talk sort of thing in the headline and thinks that it's like an X-rated version of RAANAP, possibly? Is that possible?
I mean, if it was RAANAP XXX, I think so.
So 1X is like totally kosher, but once you get to 3X's, forget it.
Yeah.
Then the kids got to hide their ears.
I feel like that maybe when we were younger, that was more of a thing of like people like hearing about like X-rated. But I feel like that, you know, just the simple, you know, what would you call that? Just the simple addition of an X. I feel that rarely means that is something that's going to be like for adults only. I think 3 X's. Yeah.
And 2 X's is just nothing.
Yeah. The X was it a suffix?
I guess. It's a suffix. It's not a prefix. It's the end.
XX. Yeah. I don't know what if anything is XX. I guess that's like 20.
Yeah, it is 20. Well, maybe they think it's RAANAP 10. Should we Roman numerals every RAANAP episode?
No,
Should this be like... That would be fun.
So what would this be? This would be RAANAP CXV.
CXV.
Yeah. Maybe if something spells like a funny word, we could refer to it as...
We could watch Sequest CXV after this also.
Yeah. All right. Akiva, how are you doing? It's only been a couple days since we spoke, because we only very recently recorded our top 10 moments of 2020.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. I think maybe it fell by the wayside a little bit just because like the world had a pretty crazy week.
Well, we were in the midst of doing it, and we were like halfway through the countdown. It's like, you see this? You see what's going on here?
Yeah.
What's this about?
I like how it starts, like drunk uncle asking, like, you see what that thing is going on? You see this?
Well, I think I don't think that people.
No,
really
we didn't know.
People were like, to expect. Yeah.
People were like, well, we're not going to do this. We're not going to record this podcast. I was like, what are you talking about? And like, oh, yeah, we were in our own bubble. You know, I don't have Twitter on when I'm recording. I have my full attention focused on Rob.
Yeah. So we held it back a little bit and then dropped it in midday Thursday. But yeah, if you missed our top 10 moments of 2020 countdown, that was a fun podcast. But we're here making the best moments of 2021. And I'm very excited for this week's podcast, RAANAP X. And so, Akiva, we have our host of RAANAP X here. Do you want to tell us about how the origin story of how our MC got involved with this?
Yeah, I maybe she can fill in the blanks a little bit, but I would say that the host of this and myself have been working on this for many months. We put out the call months ago. One of the weird things about working on episodes on the wheel is that they could be ready next week, or they could be ready in 57 weeks from now, a full year later. So you're always hesitant to like do too much work and then like it just sits there, but you also don't want to go in blind. So this person really did the yeoman's or woman's, I guess, share of the work, and she could let us know exactly how she came to be on RAANAP for the first time.
Okay, all right. Our RAANAP X first and presenter. Let's see what's the right title here for.
No,
Kelly
I think
White.
everyone else is the presenter. I think she's like you said
moderator?
the MC. I like that.
Yeah, the
I
MC.
She's the moderator.
The MC, Kelly White.
Yeah, MCKW. That's me.
MC KW, who, if you are listening to just the audio of this podcast, we are recording video here today, that she is wearing a Buffalo Bills sweatshirt celebrating the first Buffalo Bills a playoff victory in the lives of many of our listeners.
Yeah, it's been a very exciting day for me.
Yeah. Wow. So much going on. All right. So Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, what do you need to know? I'm Canadian, which I mean, obviously. I guess I came up with this idea just because when I was in university, I used to go to these parties called Drink, Talk, Learn, which is essentially everyone shows up with a PowerPoint and does a presentation, and people can heckle, people can ask questions, and it sounds really boring, but it's actually super fun. And so I thought that would fit really well with RAANAP.
Yeah.
I've been a listener to RAANAP since the beginning. I listened to the Seinfeld podcast as well.
Oh.
So that's kind of how I got to be on here today.
Yeah. Akiva, should we have called this Drink, Talk, Learn?
Yeah, that's definitely a good name. I believe, Kelly, was this your pitch, by the way?
It was, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I guess it makes sense because I didn't really know you super well before that, so it makes sense this was your pitch. Her original pitch was Drink, Talk, Learn, which is a good name. I didn't know how much drinking would be involved, and I think you actually, Rob, settled on RAANAP X, which is probably the best branding that it could have come up with.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm very excited about this idea. I've been really looking forward to this one, and I was the one who picked it. I won the coin toss last week, and I went right to this, Kelly. So no
gosh.
pressure.
When I heard that, I was so freaked out. I was like, not RAANAP X, not my little idea.
Yeah. Well, we're here, and we have 5 presenters here today?
Yeah, so we have 5 presenters today. Essentially, how I broke it up is there's kind of 2 types of presentations. There's the more like informational or informative. So a good example about that would be I just made up a couple example presentations, and one would be ghost encounters of the intimate kind, which would be, I could present on people who have had intimate relations with ghosts. Kind of a unique topic that you might not know a lot
That's
about.
RAANAP XXX, right?
Yes. No, and we don't have that one. I feel like you're teasing the listeners.
Yeah.
Slide into my DMs and maybe I will do ghost encounters of the intimate kind one day for someone. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Why do you have that information ready to go? Is that a Drink, Talk, Learn?
I don't have it ready to go, but I think, give me like 3 hours and maybe a beer and I could have it ready to go.
Okay. All right. Kelly, coming back for a mailbag.
Yeah, she did not mention that was like a talk she had given before. That might have made it. Who knows if it was honestly.
Next time.
Yeah.
And
Akiva,
then
is that cheating if you have a intimate encounter with a ghost?
Yeah, I think it is. I think if I told it to my wife, she'd be like, "Pack your bags, buddy."
Yeah. Yeah. That's we get to hear about that. Yeah.
These are the important questions that we're going to answer today during RAANAP X.
Yeah. I think that there's some, shaky ground there. I think that you might be able to say that it does not count. We were on a break. It's a ghost.
We're on the astral plane.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, let's see. Kelly, so why don't you tell us a little bit more as we try to bring back Uncle Kiwi? Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your selection process and how you went about narrowing this down to 5?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, kind of what I said. There's 2 categories. So the informative, and then we also have like editorial pieces, which could be more of, how Rebecca Black's Friday defined this decade. So just kind of someone's opinion, they're arguing for something or possibly against something. We got actually 69 people who filled out our form.
Nice.
Always a great number when you get that many. And we kind of just both read through them, Akiva and I made some notes and highlighted ones that I thought might work. He did the same. And we tried to pick topics that were pretty unique and a little bit off the wall that maybe people hadn't heard of before, but also that had a very strong either focus or a very strong opinion. Because I think part of the thing that's really important with these is that you need to have a really strong opinion that either people might not have heard before, or perhaps, you'll be able to sway them.
Yeah. Well,
Rob, can I read you some of the rejected pitches?
Please do.
Okay. And we could get to maybe more in the middle. One that came close to getting on but didn't make it was why Pam is the worst character in The Office, outside Toby, of course.
Okay. Now, were you going off of a title, or was there also sort of like a workup of like, okay, that's interesting?
No, each person, Kelly made a really smart form, which is had like the idea for the presentation, but also gave, asked people to give a mini pitch within there. Then we each sort of took notes on the ones we liked, and the ones we mostly agreed on were the ones you're hearing today.
Pam is the worst character in The Office.
Pam is the worst character in The Office. Yeah, that was one.
Well, I famously don't like Jim and Pam, but Pam on her own, I feel like that is a hot take.
Mm-hmm. I think people have gone there before. Like when The Office was on, it was a hot take, but I do think people have migrated in that direction. Another pitch that did not make it was Seeds Baby, My Anaphylactic Life.
Great title.
Great title, but yeah, I'm not super interested in hearing about allergies, honestly. The Political Philosophy of RAANAP. I was a little scared about that one.
Oh, I would like to hear more about that.
Maybe next time. Two different people wanted to talk about Mario Party 4. Very specific. Almost has to be the same person. Mary Kwiatkowski wanted Fish and Plants. They are alive, but are they?
I like that one, but it's a little harsh.
Yeah. Whales are fish.
That was Frail Mary wanted to do that one?
Yeah, it came in late. We'd already picked ours by the time that came in, to be fair.
Yeah.
But that's not bad.
All right. These are great.
Yeah, they're good. How to get on RAANAP, I didn't. That also came in at the very end, so we'd already picked. But
it seems like that the presenter, maybe doesn't know everything that they think they know.
I guess that's true. They're, I step one, fill it in right away, not 3 months after we ask people for it. I also like this one. Lego is every parent's most hated toy, because I did just step on a Lego before.
So many Legos on the floor. All right. Well, then let's get into this. Let's hear our first presenter. Kelly, is there anything that you want to say in this introduction?
Yeah, I have a little intro for each person, so I'll kind of say that and throw it to them. They should know what order we're going in as well. So it should be about 5 minutes per speaker. If anyone hears a topic that they're like, wow, I absolutely hate this, then, just skip ahead like 5 minutes. There's 5 presentations. So our first presenter first learned of his topic while on a European trip. Amazed and intrigued by the story, Greg is here today to give us a short oral history on a bizarre tradition.
Okay. All right. Here is Greg. Okay. Greg, welcome to RAANAP.
Thanks.
Okay. Greg, is there anything else you want to tell us about yourself before you do this, or you want to go right into the presentation?
No, I'm a recent RAANAP listener. I only started listening at the beginning, probably around the time the pandemic started, and did a giant binge of the whole thing and have submitted many terrible ideas that have not gotten on the wheel. So this is going to be really fun.
Okay. All right, Greg, why don't we let you take it away?
So let me see here. Let me get this thing going.
So again, if you want to join us for the video version, we're going to post it on the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube channel, and there are going to be some visual PowerPoints that you can follow along if you want to see the visual of our RAANAP X. Otherwise, I do believe you should be able to follow along with just the audio.
Can you see that? Are we good?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So this presentation is called Burn the Goat. So Sweden is a country that is filled with many holiday traditions. And one of these holiday traditions is the Yule bucken. Apologies to anyone who I'm going to butcher a lot of Swedish in this, or Yule goat. And the origins of the Yule goat are not really clear, but it's been around since like the 1800s when mass characters, including a Christmas goat, would come to people's houses to deliver presents. In the modern day, the Yule goat is most often seen as a straw ornament or other decoration in Swedish households where it's hung from trees or windows as a celebration of the holiday season. So in 1966, an advertising consultant in the small college town of Gävle came up with this idea of making a gigantic Yule goat and placing it in the town square as a tourist attraction. And on December 1st of 1966, the first Gävle goat was built and dedicated in a public ceremony which drew thousands of people from around the area. It was 45 feet tall, 23 feet long, and it weighed 3 tons. And it stood tall and proud, providing a place of gathering for the people of Gävle to meet and gather, to celebrate the love and joy of the Christmas season until New Year's Day. when vandals burned it to the ground. However, the city of Yule was undeterred, and in 1968 and 1969, they rebuilt new goats that stood for the entire Christmas season. However, in 1969, once again on New Year's Eve, the goat was torched and destroyed. At this point, I mean, since then, the goat has been built every year, and almost every year since, it has been burned or otherwise demolished. And at this point, the Yule goat being burned is as much as, if not more of, a cultural touchstone than the original Yule goat itself. The goat's demise is tracked with bated breath every year as people from around the world wonder, will it live or will it burn? So we're going to take a deep dive into this bizarre and crazy tradition and talk about some of the highlights in the history of the Yule goat. So in 1970, no time was wasted, and the goat was burned a mere 6 hours after it was constructed. In 1976, the Swedes kind of got a little bored with burning the goat, and instead they crushed it after running it over with a Volvo. In 1979, for the first time, the goat is actually burned before they even finished building it. The city then, in an act of rebellion against the Vandals, immediately built a second goat, which was burned 3 weeks later. By 1985, having only survived one of the previous 15 years, the city decided to enclose the goat with a 6-foot-high barbed wire fence and guard it around the clock with soldiers from the Swedish infantry. And the goat still got burned in January. In 1987, realizing that the fence and guards were still not enough, the mayor of Yule announced that they had also coated the goat with a flame retardant that would make it completely impossible to burn. He promised that not even napalm could burn the goat this year, and it burned 1 week before Christmas. In 1988, British bookmakers allowed people to bet on the fate of the goat for the first time, and this tradition has continued to the present day, where online betting sites across the internet allow gamblers to bet on whether or not the goat will survive the year. And I really wish now that I had suggested that for Rob and Akiva Place a Bet, because it would have been really hilarious. Of course, the goat beat the odds that year and survived for only the second time in 20 years, leaving the vast majority of the bettors with empty pockets. However, in 1989, it made up for lost time by being burned once again before construction was even completed. In response, the city held a successful public fundraising drive to build another goat, which was raised and burned 2 days later. In the 2000s, things start to get really weird. In 2001, a drunk American tourist from Cleveland set the goat on fire after a local at a nearby bar told him that burning the goat was a legal tradition that happens every year. He spent 2 weeks in jail and was fined $14,000. However, he left the country immediately after his release, and to this day, the fine remains unpaid. In 2005, 2 people, one disguised as Santa Claus and one disguised as a gingerbread man, rolled up on the goat and set it on fire by shooting flaming arrows into it before fleeing into the night, never to be caught. In 2010, 2 men approach a security officer guarding the goat and offer him over $7,000 to allow them to bring in a helicopter and carry the goat away. The guards refuse the offer and the men run and are never found. And the goat did actually survive that year without further harm. In 2012, the goat is burned on December 12th, and its arsonists post a photo of their matching tattoos commemorating the event on Instagram. The men are identified, but never convicted of anything due to lack of evidence. However, out of all the ways that the goat's been burned and abused, there's one that's my very favorite. So sometime in the 90s, local officials had set up webcams for public viewing, which kept tabs on the goat and would help catch anyone attempting to vandalize it. In 2004, hackers took control of the webcam and turned it off. 5 minutes later, the webcam was turned back on, the goat was in flames, and a message was added to the webcam that read Bryn Bokjevel. Loosely translated, this means burn the fucking goat. This phrase has become so popular in the years since that you can buy it on t-shirts and any other kind of media that you can think of in Swedish Etsy shops. And a Swedish homebrewer even named a beer in honor of these hackers. Now, in 2016, the goat celebrated its 50th anniversary by being burned just hours after it was inaugurated. However, since then, something strange has happened. For the last 4 years, the goat has survived. Before this, the goat had barely ever survived 2 years in a row, much less 4. Now, many people have attributed this streak to increased security and technology, but I feel like there's a deeper answer there. In the last several years, we have been literally watching the world burn around us. Political upheaval, racial reckoning, a global pandemic. If there's been one consistent thing about this time, it's been chaos. When the world is on fire, maybe, just maybe, a band of drunken youth roll up on the goat, lighters and gas in hand, and think to themselves, you know what? I think we've seen enough fire and chaos this year. I like to think that the goat's survival is a sign that when everything is in flames, having a beautiful symbol of Christmas is the brightest thing that anyone could ask for. That's it.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Well done.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay.
It's hard going
One of our other
first.
guests said we should burn the wheel.
Burn the wheel. No. No. No, please no. Okay. All right. Akiva, do you have questions
Yeah.
for Greg?
Well, I it is interesting. Like, it seems like, as Greg said towards the beginning, burning the goat is a bigger deal than the goat's existence to begin with at this point. Like, it was cool that they built the giant goat, but it's not newsworthy anymore. So
It's
I feel like
still
they should allow the goat to be burned every year. Like, if it's not burned by whenever they're gonna, I assume they take. Would you know when they take it down?
They usually take it down right after New Year's in January, like the first or second week of January.
Yeah, so they should burn it. Like, if it doesn't get taken down by like January 3rd, they should just have a burn it.
Like a burning party, like an effigy, like at the end of Burning Man, basically.
Yeah. To me,
Burning Goat, a
Yeah,
new festival in Sweden.
I feel like that the tolerance for let's spend the money on the goat and then just that people are going to burn it down instantly. I don't even know why people even want the goat.
Yeah, and who's
Then
spending
build another goat
Imagine
and
spending
burn
like
it.
a whole month. Imagine spending a whole month building this just for it to be burned in 2 weeks. Like, why do people still make that?
Yeah, it would be like if they put up the Rockefeller Christmas tree and then like every year, like the next day, people burnt it to the ground. It's like, well, we need another one. It's like, stop putting it up.
You got to think that the city is in on the joke at some point, right? Like, they've got to understand that the tourism that's involved in the burning of the goat is at this point as valuable, if not more, than the goat itself. Like, when I first heard about this because I lived in Sweden for about a year and a half. And when I was moving there, one of my friends was like, oh my God, you've got to go see this goat. It burns every year. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so me and my girlfriend at the time, I lived in Stockholm, and Gävle is around two hours north. And so we took the train up there and saw the goat and everything. And she was like, oh my God, you saw the goat. That's amazing. And I read the goat has the most detailed Wikipedia page you've ever seen, where every year by year, it details the ways in which it was destroyed. Yeah, it's crazy. You got to think that they love the burning as much as they love the saving it right now.
Yeah. Greg, are you able to stop your screen share?
Oh yeah. Sorry. I thought yeah. There we go.
Good. Now we can see you much better. Okay. Akiva, do we have a RAANAP version of Burn the Goat?
Well, I don't know. Should we? What is there something you want to burn? I'm not a big fire guy. Do you like fire? I don't really like fire.
No.
I'm anti-fire.
I'm trying to think of what it would be. We'd have to like put something up, and then all of a sudden it's like maybe there's like an imposter that could like burn it down.
Should we burn the Constitution every year as a reminder that we don't need to follow it? The
Yeah.
RAANAP Constitution. I didn't mean the American. You could burn the American one too. I don't care. But
I mean,
RAANAP
is there a pitch there somewhere? Is there like a pitch there somewhere? Like at the end of the year, do you burn the wheel and start over every year, or is there like is there a spot on the wheel that's burn the wheel, and at that point you just have to wipe everything clean and start over with fresh pitches?
Boy, I
Sounds
hope
like a lot
not.
of work.
Should we burn the wheel at the end of this year, Rob? Should we say like
No,
if it doesn't?
why? We work hard to put stuff on there.
I know, but maybe we don't add that many things, and you know, like not so much gets burned. I don't know.
I think you guys are missing the point. We don't want to burn things anymore. We're trying to uplift.
Okay.
That was an inspiring story.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob and I are like, what can we destroy?
Okay.
I mean, I will say that as somebody who has sent in a lot of pitches, if one made it on the wheel, to see it burned would be kind of disappointing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Burned by a drunk Clevelander.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Or a drunk guy from Omaha.
Yeah.
I like the sense of justice. My impression is like of like Nordic justice is like anything short of murder. It's a max of month in jail. You know, there's no There's no real jail time, and the jail supposedly are really nice in like Sweden and Norway also. I could do a month in a Norwegian jail without blinking an eye. Might be a nice vacation, honestly.
Should that go on the census? Could you do a month
Mhm.
in a Norwegian jail?
I think
Wasn't
we
it
had it
already
right.
on
Like,
the census?
yeah, I think we had some sort of blue collar, white collar jail question.
Yeah.
on the
Maybe
last
we could
census.
find out more about Norwegian jail at some point also from our
Mhm.
listeners.
Next
All right.
RAANAP X will have that.
Okay.
Maybe you could watch Scum. Maybe there's something in there about it.
I bet people go to jail there.
Mhm.
Let me
All right.
know.
Well, Greg, thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Great. Thank you.
Great to get the ball rolling. All right, Kelly, who's next?
Yes. So our next presenter is a fellow Canadian millennial. Goldie's here to tell you why cartoons aren't just for kids anymore.
Okay.
Hi.
This is not RAANAP triple X content, I promise.
Okay. All right. Goldie, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Goldie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I guess I live in Toronto, but I'm from Vancouver. I don't remember filling out this form for this podcast, so
I
sorry.
think there could be some sort of a mistake.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, do you
Maybe.
listen to this podcast?
I do listen to this podcast, but
Okay.
Okay, I think I have the answer because Goldie did fill out the form a long time ago. Goldie filled out a form that was about, I think, Canadian infomercials. But we covered it in Canadian Shows Are Trash. So I said, this was like a really interesting sounding pitch. You sound like an interesting person. Give us something else. And then Kelly and Goldie worked on finding something
yes, I came up with a list of 20 ideas, and then Kelly picked one.
Okay. All right.
worked out.
Well, Goldie, please take it away.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Why? Oh. There. So
Okay.
my presentation is about adult cartoons, but it's actually mostly about Daria.
Okay.
So Daria started out on a different show, Beavis and Butthead, which is a trash show that sucks. It's just gross boys making weird noises. Who cares? According to Vulture, in an interview I just read, the president of MTV at the time demanded that Beavis and Butthead needed to have at least one intelligent female character that wasn't a villain, a sex object, or a buzzkill. Thus, Daria, the character, was born. The character turned out to be somewhat popular, so the president of MTV ordered a spinoff. The show originally came out in 1997 and ran till 2002, for now, which will come up later. There were 5 seasons and 2 TV movies. The show follows the story of Daria Morgendorfer, who moves to a new city with her family at the beginning of the school year. She's a misanthropic teen with a popular, upbeat younger sister named Quinn, who tells everybody at their school that Daria is her cousin, or maid, or exchange student, or au pair for like most of the series. They have a mother who's a lawyer named Helen, and a father who has hardcore daddy issues named Jake. In the first episode, Daria meets her best friend Jane, who's an artist with like a turbulent home life. Other characters on the show include Jody, who's a high-achieving student who feels pressure from her family to succeed, and her boyfriend Mac, who's a slightly less high-achieving football player. Kevin, the quarterback on the show, is probably the dumbest character I've ever seen on television. His girlfriend Brittany is a little bit less stupid, but has more going on, basically. These all sound like typical teen sitcom characters, but basically every character is better than they seem at first glance. For example, Quinn, Daria's sister, seems like the average popular character on a show, but it pretty quickly becomes clear she questions her existence and what she's doing basically all the time.
Same.
Even side characters on the show, like the teachers or Brittany and Kevin, are pretty dimensional. Also, the music is great. The style is great. The theme song should have been in the theme song bracket.
How does the theme song go? It's like da 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 da. Like right? There's no words.
You're standing on my neck, I believe, is
Oh,
the
yeah.
lyric.
Yeah.
So part of the reason Daria is so particularly good is because it does deal with high school issues like grades and love triangles. That's not the only thing it deals with. It has episodes of things like grief and censorship and addiction and body image and eating weird berries and aliens and communists and stuff like that. It was like one of the first women-focused cartoons out there. I assume. I didn't actually look it up. And remains that to this day. It does tackle pretty deep issues, especially for a cartoon show, and it passes the Bechdel test with like flying colors. It's not perfect. It's a 90s television show. No show is perfect. It's pretty white. It's pretty straight. Representation is lacking. There's a very problematic queer storyline in the first TV movie, which I think could be good if they like made a few tweaks. It's really upsetting. But there's like a lot of really good things about the show. The characters evolve. People get significant development. It's a good show. Also, there's a musical episode, which is really weird. This is RAANAP, so we're talking about season 3, episode 7. It's called It Happened One Nut. The synopsis of the show is Daria's parents force her to get a job, and her father finds her one at the peanut stand at the mall. Much to her chagrin, her only coworker is Kevin, the idiot football player. Daria is great at customer service, but the job makes her smell like nuts and requires her to smile, or else the customers won't have to pay her for her nuts, and she'll have the price docked from her paycheck. Also, Quinn has to get a job at the pet store. It's a show that's it's a good episode. It's not too beloved. It's only a half hour. And I feel like it's safe for kids, but I don't know any kids, so you shouldn't believe me.
Yeah. I don't know any kids.
I don't know any. Daria is a great example of how adult cartoons perfect the comedic forms, because dark comedies are especially popular in this day and age. So, Daria is prescient, basically, because it was a 90s show. You can break boundaries in cartoons that you really can't on non-cartoon TV, and plus they're COVID safe. The cartoon format helps us relate to these images more quickly because of the nostalgia for childhood, because everybody grows up watching cartoons. And cartoons like Daria can include surrealist elements like the musical episode, or there's an episode with physical manifestations of holidays, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But it can include these things without jumping the shark or like breaking the fourth wall, unlike live action shows like Grey's Anatomy, which, ew. Daria also has really great one-liners, which I have clips of in a sec, and really funny moments. Like there's an episode where Quinn makes Daria take her to a plastic surgeon consultation, and the surgeon gives Daria practice boobs. It's really great.
Mm-hmm.
There's also things like ongoing runners, like one of the teachers just goes on anti-man rants for like all the time. It's great. And Daria's father, Jake, is obsessed with things like stew and squirrels, just for episodes at a time. It's wonderful. I have clips, but I don't know if this is going to work.
Okay. Yeah, we don't hear the audio.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Here, tell us what they're saying.
Yes.
There's Daria with her friend.
Yes. So these guys are hitting on her at the party. And they said, where did you guys come from? And she says, we were born in this room, we grew up in this room, and we thought we would die here alone. But now you've arrived and our lives can truly begin.
Good.
Good one, Daria.
Oop. Daria is asked what her life goal is. She responds, my goal is not to wake up at 40 with the bitter realization that I've wasted my life on a job I hated because I was forced to decide on a career in my teens.
Too real.
So I don't really know why this came up, but there's several planned spinoffs of Daria now. What I'm excited about, and it's the one with the most information about it, is focused on the character of Jody. It's going to star and it's executive produced by Tracy Ellis Ross, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Daria is a specifically good show because it was one of the first shows where there's a woman character who wasn't either popular or trying to be popular, especially when it's like teenagers. That's the common trope, and it's really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
It is also a show that made way more space for like women-centered TV shows with multi-dimensional and diverse characters who weren't just like hot or evil. It appears to be on CBS All Access. I don't know. But I think the music is missing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other amazing adult cartoons too, like Futurama, Undone, BoJack Horseman, Archer, Rick and Morty, Big Mouth, which I don't like, but my friend asked me to include. The end.
Okay. Goldie, for some sort of a Daria updated or spin-off series or reboot, would you like to see a modern version of the original Daria, or do you want to see Daria as an adult?
I would like both, but I think it would probably be better to be a remake of the original version, because I think there's more. My personal theory is that everybody on the show should have been lesbians, so like they should just redo it like that.
Is there a person who's like very Daria-ish who should voice her?
I think the original actress is probably still around, but what's her name? Aubrey Plaza from The Office, not The Office, Parks and Recreation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She did a parody video with Funny or Die a couple years ago, so probably her.
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey Plaza is probably the most Daria-ish sort of actress out there, Rob, right?
No, she doesn't have glasses.
That's true. Did you watch Daria, Rob?
I was not a loyal fan, but I do remember it being on.
I think it's funny because it has sort of fallen by the wayside, but I definitely watched it a lot while it was on. Well, were you a Beavis and Butthead guy? I mean, it's a spinoff of Beavis and Butthead. We haven't really talked about Beavis and Butthead.
You know what? I feel like that I certainly was caught up in the craze, but I was not like a die in the wool Beavis and Butthead guy.
Yeah.
Are there like Beavis and Butthead stands out there?
The stands of everything.
I don't think it aged well. Like, I don't think like the audience, held to it. Like, it's definitely not something that's like beloved Beavis and Butthead.
Right. But it was so popular when it was on. Like, it definitely had a big moment.
It was so popular because it was like, hey, this show is bad. You can't watch it. I think that there was a little bit of like moths to a flame.
Also,
Bad, like parents were saying it's bad, you mean, not like it's bad content.
Right.
Wasn't
People said it was dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it basically like an ad for other stuff on MTV too? They just showed other clips of other shows.
No, it would be like they would watch music videos. So that was sort of like the draw of it being on MTV. It would be like there would be like a story, and the story would be like 10 or 12 minutes, and then they would watch like whole music videos, sort of like Mystery Science Theater, and sit in front of like talking about like, hey, that guy's hair is cool.
Should we do a whole episode as Beavis and Butthead, Rob?
No, I don't think so. That's probably not necessary. Goldie, did Beavis and Butthead ever appear on Daria?
No, not that I could tell when I rewatched it all this week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're.
It would be interesting to see. I don't know how old they were. So they were what, like 16, 17 in what, like 1994?
Mm-hmm.
So if we caught up with them now, where are all those characters?
The Capitol.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Perhaps that, who knows? I think it'd be interesting to check in on an update.
Well, Beavis and Butthead, I think it was sort of rebooted, right?
But they're always the same age.
They're always the same age. Yeah, Daria was like sort of too early. Like now I feel like it would fit better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Netflix it is ahead of its time. Maybe Netflix would reboot it.
Okay.
It's getting rebooted, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
Now is the time to jump in and watch Daria.
All right, Akiva, anything else for Goldie?
Not much. So Goldie's pitching season 3, episode 7 of Daria. I wonder if there's like, should we watch Beavis and Butthead and Daria?
Season 3, episode 7. Well, maybe let's check out what season 3, episode 7 of Beavis and Butthead is.
Okay. We get back to that in the mailbag, but that's just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not exactly what you pitched, but I do think like Daria, while fun, maybe doesn't like move the needle as a standalone, but it is a good idea.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel like this was better than a season 3, episode 7.
No, this was better. Yeah, no, I know more about the show now than if we just watch one episode. That is sometimes with the season 3, episode 7, if we don't know a show well.
Yeah,
like
we got everything
week,
we needed to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you explained it all. You're like Clarissa. Another show that maybe should we put that in the fishbowl?
I mean, Sure, but if you do Clarissa, you have to do Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
It's true.
Then you got to package those together.
Yeah, we're trying to get through all of TGIF eventually. So, okay.
Yeah. I'm a little afraid of witches, though.
Are you really?
Not real. I mean, you're a witch on the show famously, so I'm not afraid of you. But I don't know. Too spooky for me. I think Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
The talking cat, you're not
talking
into
cat is really what gets. Like, I don't mind that she's a teenage witch. The talking cat really takes me out of my element. That's
I don't like when it like files its nails.
it. Ooh.
The cat.
Yeah, right.
That's
Doesn't
gross.
it do that?
Yeah, I don't want anyone filing their nails in front of me. I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Salem the cat.
All right, Goldie. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thanks.
All right. All right, Kelly. What do you have next for us?
So completely switching gears, Morgan from Australia is coming to us live from tomorrow.
Okay.
And she has a mysterious tale that is going to end with a dark punchline.
Ooh. Hi, Morgan. Hold on, Morgan, you muted. Hold on. Morgan, we heard you in the pre-show, and I don't hear you now. Yes.
Yes.
Strange. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so that's not working. Okay, sorry guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, Morgan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I came here via Survivor, massive Survivor fan, patron for quite a while and listener.
God bless you. Yes.
Rob and Akiva. And yeah, so I found myself here by filling in a form. It felt like a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of Australian history today.
Great.
With a twist. So I want to talk about the 17th Prime Minister of Australia, who was Harold Holt. And Harold Holt was sworn in January of 1966, following the retirement of Robert Menzies, who was elected. So he was only really in power for a year. Not a very interesting political figure until the end. On November 26, 1966, he won his first and only election. So in quite a landslide of a victory. Not very inspiring, but he was the best of the bad bunch apparently at the time. He cultivated a close relationship with the United States, and he was the first person to utter the phrase "all the way with LBJ." In December 1967, he was staying at his holiday home in Portsea when Harold Holt and 4 others went to the beach at Cheviot Beach. He and his friend Alan entered the water, but only Alan was to return. Harold Holt disappeared while swimming on that day in December. And as Marjorie Gillespie once said, it was like a leaf being taken out, so quick and so final. Holt's disappearance sparked one of the largest search operations in Australian history. A coronial inquest in 2005 returned a verdict of accidental drowning. Only taking 38 years to get to that point is very Australian. On 22nd of December, a memorial service was held at St Paul's Cathedral in Melbourne. Harold Holt is commemorated by the Harold Holt Swimming Centre in the suburb of Glen Iris. The complex was under construction at the time, and since he was the local member, it was named in his honour. The irony of naming a pool after somebody who drowned is one of my favourite things about being Australian.
Wow.
Yeah. Rob, did you know the Harold Holt story at all?
I did not. Did you?
I do remember hearing that Australia had a prime minister that drowned, and that the main way they commemorated him is naming a swimming pool after him, but that's about it.
Yeah. No, that is wild. Morgan, does anybody suspect foul play?
So there was foul play suspected initially, but given there were so many witnesses on the beach that saw him enter and then saw him disappear, there were conspiracy theories that involved the CIA and involved the Chinese. Maybe that's why the coronial inquest did take 38 years. But they were found to have no substance.
Yeah. Keith, what do you think about All the Way with LBJ?
Yeah, I didn't know he invented that. I guess it's his claim to fame. I imagine if just like if the president of the United States just like floated away and he was drowning. First of all, nobody would believe it, right? Everyone would think it was a conspiracy. No matter who it was, I think. But it is such a believable way, like ultimately for somebody to go, right? Like he's on the beach, people don't see it. It's hard to imagine. Like, what's the foul play? Like somebody grabbed his leg from the ocean floor and dragged him out to sea. Like, it's pretty hard to really, pull some shenanigans there. It's just drowning is like the lamest way to die in a certain way. It's like, I don't mean like I'm not making fun. Like, just like it is definitely like one of the ways that scares me the most in terms of dying. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty spooky.
What could you rank the lamest ways to die?
Lame is probably the wrong word, but like if you have a heart attack, like what are you going to do? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe you could have eaten healthier, but like it seems out of your control. Drowning seems so preventable. Do you know what I mean? Like
what's
just
the preventable? Like, don't go in the water?
I guess, like, I'm sure almost every drowning occurrence was like, if I hadn't done X or Y, very simple thing. Goldie says choking on soup would be the lamest way to die. I'm with her.
Yeah. Morgan, is there any sort of like Australian version of like the Secret Service?
There might be. Maybe it's that secret that we don't even know. But there were many stories about that perhaps Harold Holt was not spending all of his time with his wife. And so the service that was to protect Harold Holt, he was perhaps spending time with others. And so that protective service was asked to take a back seat on that specific weekend.
Terrible way to get busted also.
Yeah.
Rather cheat on a ghost. I agree.
So he might have been stepping out on Mrs. Holt during that time that he drowned?
Mrs. Holt wasn't in the state at that time and wasn't enjoying their holiday house that weekend, whereas perhaps Marjorie could tell us a little more about where Harold had been.
Oh.
This is very spicy.
The plot thickens.
I just left seeds, just sprinkled some seeds in there.
Baby, yeah. And who was the person that said he got taken out like a leaf?
Marjorie Gillespie.
Okay, and that was his girlfriend?
And she was very keen on watching him in the ocean.
I just kind of assumed everyone in Australia knew how to swim.
I mean, I think
maybe that's what we all learned. Maybe this is where that came from.
At the Harold
Morgan, he didn't know to swim at all, or was
no? He absolutely knew how to swim. He knew how to swim. He had been to this beach more times.
Could like a crocodile have taken him or something?
No, there's no crocodiles there.
This was more of a Florida thing.
Yeah, they're a saltwater thing here.
Yeah, what about sharks?
A shark could have taken him, but it was in the bay. Not really shark waters, real. He just drowned.
Would you rather get eaten by a shark or drown, Rob?
Shark.
The shark is quicker, you think?
Oh, shark sounds terrible, though, honestly.
I'd rather be a shark, I think.
Wait, I don't know if that's an option. We were a shark a few weeks ago. It didn't really work out for us.
Yeah.
I think they both sound bad, honestly.
Yeah.
Shark would be newsworthy. That is true.
Did they ever find the body?
Never. So it was the largest search in Australian history. They never found the body.
Did they check all the sharks' mouths?
I'm not sure if they checked there, but it was an extensive search, but I'm not sure it went that deep.
Yeah.
I feel this happened so long ago. It's just depressing because I feel like we're never going to get the answer up.
Yeah. This is wild. Why did it take 38 years to ultimately make
slow when we don't take things very seriously?
But what made them get around to it in 2005, where they're like, "This is the year, everybody"?
Somebody was like, "You know what we haven't done yet? We haven't looked into the Prime Minister's death."
Yeah.
Now is it?
Okay.
Wild.
Well, Morgan, thank you for sharing all this with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. Morgan, thank you so much. All right, Kelly, what's next?
Switching gears again, our next presenter has been developing a completely original theory that will change your view of animals forever. So take it away, Dr. Amanda.
Okay. Dr. Amanda, how are you?
I'm well. I'm so honored to be here at the very first RAANAP X conference. I've attended some digital conferences during the pandemic, and this is one of the better run, more interesting ones that I've been to.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Amanda?
Well, I'll jump into my presentation, I guess, right? That's
Yes,
I do
please.
have a
Wait, Amanda, this isn't your 5th time on the show, is it? Do we have to get you a hat?
this is my 4th time.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
all right. We gotta save up. Invite her
Okay.
for a 5th time.
So Dr. Amanda Rabinowitz is sharing the screen and has a
Yes.
presentation. Okay.
So I'm going to be presenting a talk today about my original theory, the size versus intelligence theory of how gross an animal is.
Okay.
First, I wanted to set up my credentials a little bit as we get into this topic. As listeners might know, I have a PhD in clinical psychology with a specialization in neuropsychology. I've written or co-authored over 50 peer-reviewed articles that are published in the scientific literature, mostly on brain injury. I do not have any specific expertise in the science of grossness, but I have been developing and honing this theory for many years now, mostly by yelling at people at parties. So what makes an animal gross? Now, Webster's dictionary defines gross as rude or offensive language, vulgar or coarse. There's also an informal definition of gross, which is very disgusting. So let's talk a little bit about disgust. Disgust emerges as one of the primary human emotions around 5 years of age during the course of child development. It's believed to protect us from ingesting harmful substances. The revulsion towards animals that we classify as gross or disgusting has to do with the belief that they're dirty and could infect or spoil food that we eat or carry disease. But does that tell the whole story? There are some troubling unanswered questions in the field of animal grossness that have gone unaddressed so far that I believe that my theory fills those gaps. What about size? So I think we would all agree that teeny tiny cockroaches that are about the size of a penny in this picture here, for those who can view my slide, that's gross. But that is not nearly as gross as a big giant cockroach that can fill the entire
Like
palm
a
of your hand.
Madagascar hissing cockroach.
That's much grosser.
Yes.
Also, why is this super small monkey so gross? Here I have, for anybody who's viewing my slides, I have a picture here of the, this is a picture of a pygmy marmoset, which is a very small monkey with a very, very creepy face. And this is a very gross animal. So this is where the size versus intelligence theory comes in to explain these previously unanswered questions. What my theory posits is that there is an optimal ratio of animal body size to intelligence. Animals who are who fall along this line. So here I have a graph depicting intelligence on the y-axis and body size on the x-axis. You can draw a straight line that I'm calling the optimization line, and animals who fall exactly on that line are not gross at all. An animal could be too dumb for its size, and therefore would fall below the optimization line. We can calculate that distance, and that is called the grossness residual, and that tells you how gross an animal is. An animal can also be gross by being too smart for its size. And of course, animals that are way too smart or way too dumb for their size would be very, very gross. So how does this work out with some animal species that we're all very familiar with? Here I have mapped a number of animals to show, I think, very compelling evidence of why this theory is so powerful. So I'll talk this through for people who are listening to the audio podcast. Animals that fall on that optimization line are things like appropriately sized insects, like a ladybug, not very gross. A mouse is not nearly as gross as the rodents that are too big for their intelligence, like rats. And here I have a picture of a nutria, which is a very, very large, very disgusting water-dwelling rodent that I think we would all agree is much, much grosser than a small mouse. Our beloved companion animals like cats and dogs fall very nicely on the optimization line. Take a raccoon, for example, about the size of a large cat, but way too smart for its size, and that's why it is a little bit gross. Here I have humans, of course, fall exactly on the optimization line, and I have Rob and Akiva pictured here as two excellent examples of the species. This all the way on the right side of my graph is a colossal squid, which can weigh nearly a ton and is extremely gross. So that's really the outline of the theory. And I think I will conclude this talk with something that some might consider a bit of a hot take, but this was actually the genesis of the body size by intelligence theory of grossness. This is an animal that you didn't know was gross, but is actually gross. And I think I can convince some people today. Bunnies.
Oh,
Bunnies are too big for their intelligence. A bunny is, I think, at first glance, we see a fuzzy bunny with a puffy little tail. People might think it's cute, but this is really just an oversized rat with floppy ears. Look in those eyes. There's really no intelligence registering there. They're not as cute as you think they are. They're
Yeah.
actually gross. And this is a giant bunny. It is very big. Way
yeah.
too
Is this a
big.
Donnie Darko take?
I am a fan of Donnie Darko. I think that fits. I think that there's a reason that the bunny was chosen in that film to strike horror in the protagonist. So with that, I conclude my talk. And if there's any questions, I would be happy to address them.
Yeah, Amanda, I love your thesis here in terms of size versus intelligence for determining how gross the animals are. But I feel like that there is no account for how slimy an animal is in your theory. Is there any room for any other characteristics?
That's a really good point, Rob. There are some other aspects of grossness that might not have been incorporated. I think any amount of slime is probably too much slime.
Mm-hmm.
Think like slime in general will definitely up the grossness quotient. So I can go back to the drawing board and work that in. Maybe I can go back to this this model that I have here. Obviously, all of these values can be calculated. I've done all of the work here. I can just add in a little slime quotient
Mhm.
into the formula, and you can adjust the grossness residual values.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at other gross animals. Like, what about a tarantula? Is that that is somewhat limited intelligence but large body size? Would
Yeah,
that fit
it's
in there?
gross. It's grosser than a spider, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Inappropriately sized, I think.
Inappropriately
It's
sized.
an
Yeah.
inappropriately sized arachnid.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, I feel like large reptiles. Yeah, I think they're just like very off on the size basis.
Yeah. The thing that really like clicked into place that really made this theory come alive is actually this pygmy marmoset. I saw one of these at the zoo, and
Mm-hmm.
this is just really upsetting to me.
Yeah.
like this looks like you don't want a little smart monkey that's the size of your thumb. There's something very unnerving about that.
I think I don't like its little hands and feet. I think that makes like the fact that it has fingernails. I don't know why that bothers me, but it really does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has fingernails and it knows how to use them
Yeah.
because it's a smart little bugger.
Now, Amanda, would you say that the baby Yoda, aka Grogu, would you classify him as gross?
Ooh, it's a good question. So that I think, Rob, is an area that requires further study. Does this extrapolate to to imaginary creatures. Like, can we take this into like the fantasy realm and talk about Wookiees and Ewoks and Grogu? I think that's an area where I would need to do more work.
Because I feel like that while he's very small, I do think that he has somewhat limited intelligence. That he doesn't like always speak. He is a child, but he does have a lot of powers. Maybe the powers are what makes him kind of creepy.
Yeah.
I think we also don't know if he's slimy, right? He could be.
Could be.
I think that adding this whole slime dimension could really solve a lot of our unresolved issues.
Yeah, maybe it should be like a flow chart. Like, is there slime? Yes, it's gross. If not, then we go to the size versus intelligence theory.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Like Jabba the Hutt, very, very
Ooh.
gross.
Very gross, definitely.
Very, very slimy.
Probably too big for his intelligence level too, maybe.
Yeah. That he's one of the rare species that checks out on both counts.
Who's grosser, Jabba the Hutt or Pizza the Hutt?
Boy, the Pizza the Hutt is edible. So I feel like that he's less gross than Jabba the Hutt.
I don't know, the cheese looks pretty slimy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think we've lost Uncle Kiwi at some point also during your presentation.
That's too bad. I think he could have really gotten a lot out of it.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm sure that he would agree. Job well done, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Anything else that you want to add?
About size versus intelligence theory of grossness? I think I've said it all.
Okay. All right. Well, incredible job, Amanda.
Thank you.
And Kelly, who's our fifth and final panelist here today?
All right, so our final presenter for today has a master's degree in film and television and is a college professor in film and TV screenwriting and production. They also have the record for the most ideas put on the RAANAP wheel. It's Shut Up Tim.
Hey!
Okay. Shut Up Tim is in full Shrek up Tim. I didn't know you had a master's degree.
Oh yeah, I teach at a community college in California. So, I'm like Shrek and like onions. I have layers, Rob.
Okay, all right. Tim, I shudder to ask, what are you going to be talking about here today?
I'm talking about the most important topic of all time. In fact, let's just get into my presentation because I think everyone here will learn. And actually, I was hoping before we got into this, Dr. Amanda, if you're still there, how gross am I?
Well, I'm glad that this came up. I do want to caution you shouldn't apply this theory to the human species. I think that everybody, like, we are all like on the same we all fall exactly on the optimization line. This does not explain variations in human grossness.
Can we apply it to ogres?
I'll leave that one to my esteemed colleague, Shrek Up Tim.
I think ogres are misunderstood. And in fact, let's get into this. Let me share my screen. Let's see, PowerPoint there. All right, bless you. All right. Shrek 2 is the greatest film ever, period. This is an undeniable
like Shrek 2
fact.
is the greatest film ever, exclamation point.
No, it says period after that, Rob. Hey, did you guys hear the audio that played?
No.
Okay, Rob, I sent you an email. Can you just download that and play that anytime you want during the presentation?
Okay.
I got someone to submit me some appropriate audio for this presentation.
Okay,
I'll just keep going. I have to say, Kelly.
Shrek 2, baby.
There you go.
What does it say?
Shrek 2, baby.
Shrek 2, baby. Yes. Is that Jordan Kalish?
Yeah, thank you, Jordan Kalish, who agrees with me wholeheartedly. And I have to say, I did all of the panelists have to do their presentation with Kelly before this? Yesterday, Kelly specifically asked to meet with me and then asked me to cut my presentation down by 1/4. So I had a 20-minute presentation. I removed about 65 slides. But let's just get into it, okay?
They were very compelling.
Yeah, she just said it took too long. Oh,
Okay.
oh wait, okay. Number one, is this a trick? And this was more for Akiva. I feel like he allowed me to be on this episode to try to get my idea, which is in the wheel waiting room. Rob and Akiva are Shrek experts. Of course, Mike Bloom helped get that in the wheel waiting room. I'm sure it will get on the wheel in this mailbag.
Does this involve Sonic the Hedgehog?
This has... I am a Shrek purist, Rob. It's not canonical. I only live in the main Shrekiverse. I don't want any of this fan fiction and this no XXX anything. So no Sonic, no pregnant Shreks. I am anti-pregnant Shrek.
That's the RAANAP X XXX After Dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get into it.
Someone else can do that. The only kids I love are Farkle, Fergus, and Felicia. Of course, those are Shrek and Fiona's 3 kids canonically. Okay. So Keeve, you can't get rid of my idea out of the wheel waiting room because I did this presentation. There's way more to the Shrekiverse than what I'm even going to cover. All right. And like that, like I said, ogres are like onions. They have layers, and so are films. And there's many layers, and I'm going to tell you why Shrek 2 is the best film of all time. Okay, we have to start with Shrek 1, of course, which started the craze in 2001. Everybody knows the voice cast: Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz. It ended up doing 484 million at the box offices. Box office success not necessarily is a good metric for quality. It did win the first ever Oscar for animated film. It beat Monsters Inc. that year. And another green god there in Monsters Inc., of course, Mike Wazowski, voiced by Billy Crystal, is great. Smash Mouth All-Star is on this first movie's soundtrack. And most notably, recently added to the National Archive was Shrek. That's how popular it is. Now, I think that it got added to the archive because they wanted to add Shrek 2, but they felt like they had to put the first one in because Shrek 2 is the superior film. In fact, let's get to Shrek 2. Shrek 2, of course, out of the main Shrek canon, there's 5 films in the main Shrek canon. Everybody knows that the correct order from best to worst goes 2, 1, 4, Pib, and then 3. That's the correct
Pib
Shrek order.
is Puss in Boots.
Yeah, of course. Duh, obviously.
Excuse me, that one more time. 2, 1, Pib, 4.
No. 2, 1, 4, Pib, 3. 4 is quietly underrated, and Pib is overrated AF because number one, not enough Shrek in Pib at all.
Is it even rated?
Pib? According to Rotten Tomatoes, Pib has the highest Rotten Tomatoes rating, but film critics don't know anything. So this is why I'm here to tell you. Okay. Shrek 2, of course, we get Pib added to Shrek 2, which is a major, it makes this trio a quartet, and it's the perfect quartet. It's better than any other film quartet there. Of course, Antonio Banderas voices Puss in Boots. Also notable, I just have to say this, Antonio Banderas went on to voice another animated character, the Nasonex Bee, which is of course notable. This one
very gross.
Yeah, very gross.
Not as gross as the Mucinex mucus molecule.
Yeah, that guy is very gross, especially his original voice actor. Oh, okay. $919 million at the box office. It didn't win the Oscar that year. It got beat by The Incredibles, but it did win the Animation of the Year award at the Hollywood Film Awards. Notable. It has a bop. The first one had Smash Mouth All-Stars. I'm going to tell you that the Counting Crows' Accidentally in Love is the superior song out of those two, especially considering the Smash Mouth controversy from earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And it's the best film of all time. course, Puss in Boots, Pib himself joined the cast. Who doesn't love cats? Of course, Puss in Boots came in and is a very good foil. It actually helped build.
He has a foil.
Yes, he does. He actually helped make the duo of Donkey and Shrek even closer together and help refine their relationship. So if Puss in Boots wasn't there, we would have just a stagnant story of Donkey and Shrek. It would just be Donkey's annoying to Shrek. And I have to say, the main problem with 3 and 4 is they really go way too in on Puss in Boots and Donkey, and they kind of screw them up in those other 2 films. But we're not talking about that. That's for a different RAANAP podcast. Okay, so it's the only good number 2 when compared to other notable seconds. Of course, it's much better than Trolls World Tour. We all know we're very disappointed by Trolls World Tour this year when it came out because, of course, it has Justin Timberlake, who is one of my enemies, as well as they got the color branch wrong.
Why is Justin Timberlake one of your enemies?
Oh, well, notably, he has completely ignored my request to explain why in Trolls 2 they ignored the continuity from Trolls 1, where at the end of we all know at the end of Trolls 1, Branch finds his happiness and his color changes from gray and black to blue and green. But at the beginning of Trolls 2, he's notably gray and black again.
How often do you tweet this at JT?
There was a while. I think I tweeted at him for a good 3 months every day, and he never responded. I take it as a personal slight.
And did Justin Timberlake write the script to the Trolls films?
He's the executive executive producer, but I have a personal theory that he read the second script, got confused why his guy was blue and green, and then asked them to change it to black and gray. That's my personal theory. That's what I've been asking him to confirm or deny, and he refuses to respond to me on Twitter.
Okay.
It's much better than Crude's The New Age, and of course that just came out. It was very good. Crude's Nicolas Cage. I recommend checking out. It's not as good as Shrek 2 though. It's much better than Godfather 2, which is considered one of the better sequels. And I got to tell you, this is an easy thing to disprove. Godfather 2 has a donkey show in it, and the only donkey I want to show is Donkey and Shrek making waffles. It's much better than The Empire Strikes Back. Now, Empire Strikes Back, again, another sequel, but as Keith says, Star Wars for nerds, and Shrek not for nerds. Much better than
Akiva. Should somebody put in their dating profile they've never seen the Shrek movies?
Hey, well, yeah, but I think that would be a great first date. Hey, do you want to Shrek and chill?
That sounds like a fantastic first date. And,
is that how you met your wife?
No, actually, 2001. No, I met her prior to that. We did go see Shrek and Shrek 2. Actually, we saw all the Shreks in theater together. So those were dates. Don't know if we chilled afterwards, though. I can't recall that. Much better than Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. I bring this up because we all know that in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, the titular Mamma Mia, which is Meryl Streep, only appears for 5 minutes, and she is like a Force ghost from Star Wars. But also, I wanted to bring this up as a point of contention. Of course, Mamma Mia is notable to RAANAP because Rob and Akiva failed to watch the final 4 minutes of it in the final 4 episode. Yes. And it's much better than Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
I just thought it was too dark.
Okay.
Nope. Sorry.
Moving right
There we
along.
go.
Yeah.
Moving right along. Shrek 2 features a hot Shrek and a hot donkey. Shrek takes a potion and becomes a human and is very tasty. Someone else who did not respond to me on Twitter was I reached out to Bryce, Purple Pants Badass himself, and I want to know if Shrek was a zaddy, and to this date he has not responded. So if people
can't believe you didn't get an insta response from Bryce.
I did get a response from the War Dog, who said he thought Human Shrek had too much hair, but didn't answer the question either. So also look how handsome Donkey is.
Also, what's great about this is it opens up how deep Shrek 2 is. There's a mind puzzle for every viewer to think about that they don't answer in the film. When Shrek takes the potion, he becomes hot Shrek, and Fiona becomes human Fiona again. Hot Fiona, well, I think it's up to your choice, but human Fiona. Donkey becomes the stallion, and of course, Donkey's love interest is Dragon, who's not featured very much in Shrek 2. What does the dragon become? Like an even hotter dragon? What's hotter than a dragon? Dr. Amanda, is a dragon gross? Good.
So yeah, I think I've covered this, that I don't know if you can apply this to fantasy and mythical animals, but I'm going to look into it. I'm going to do some additional work in this area.
By the way, Rob, apparently Kelly cut out what Tim referred to as a fourth, but we all know Tim might not be a math guy. I think he probably meant 3/4 of the presentation. Like just to keep you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kelly, did you ask Tim to cut 3/4 of the presentation?
I mean, I said it. I'm Canadian, so it was a little more kind than that. I was like, oh, just make it a little shorter. Just cut out like all of these slides, please.
Okay.
Oh, this is too long. Here.
No, it's going great.
I'll skip that one.
Oh no.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
No. Well, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not so interested in hearing about it compared to the other films. Tell us about why.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
My kids love the B movie, by the way.
Yeah, what's better than the B movie? Okay, so in conclusion, it's just an enjoyable show. You can put it on anytime. It's really not offensive. It's mostly holds up through the 2020 lens. There are a couple questionable moments, but you take it from the time that it is. Shrek is enjoyable. You get to see him with the shirt off several times, both in human and Shrek form. I have a body type very similar to Ogre Shrek, not Hot Shrek. And yeah, overall, I think that Shrek 2 is the most fantastic film. I'm able to, most people like to point out films to me, and I'm able to tell you why Shrek 2 is better. It's undeniable. Also, again, Rob and Akiva intentionally ruined the final 4 episode by not watching the final 4 moments of Mamma Mia. It should be put in the sequel mechanism. Any questions?
Okay.
We're good. What if we had no questions?
All right. Tim, how do you respond to criticism that Shrek really took children's animated films in a dark direction, in that really made it all about who is being cast for these roles as opposed to all about the story?
See, that's a very incorrect take because, of course, Tim Allen and Tom Hanks had voiced Buzz and Woody already. Now, Pixar tried...
Oh, not you.
Not me, no. No. Yeah. Common mistake. I am never been on Home Improvement or Still Standing, to Lone Man, whatever. Whatever. Yeah. So of course Pixar uses that excuse to get away from saying that, like, oh, look at Shrek, all they did was cast a bunch of celebrities, and guess what, they did a great job casting in Shrek. Mike Myers is excellent, and what's notable about Mike Myers too is he's the replacement voice. Of course he's doing his Scottish voice from So I Married an Axe Murderer, but Chris Farley was originally the voice of Shrek. Of course, with his passing, they ended up recasting Shrek. Eddie Murphy is hilarious as Donkey. This is probably the highlight of his career at the time. He was doing a lot of those bad Eddie Murphy movies. But Shrek is the
high point of Eddie Murphy's career.
Yeah, you can't do. Cameron Diaz is great.
So it's pretty commonly held belief.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Cameron Diaz, of course, is great, fantastic in her role as Fiona. And you got to give it up to the other voice cast. Antonio Banderas. We got John Lithgow in the first one is great. I think casting all over Shrek is fantastic. And I think that the main issue is people are just worried that like DreamWorks would come in and ruin the animation phase by making such a high peak, everything is lower than there. And, with Shrek 2, they did. So everything is just down from there.
So I really thought we were going to be talking more about the merits of Shrek 2 and not just taking down every other film to say that Shrek 2 is the greatest film? Could you give us the plot points of Shrek 2?
Kelly made me cut out so much.
I would
had
never.
Mhm.
I would never.
But okay, so Shrek 2, of course, starts after the end of Shrek 1, where Shrek and Fiona get married. We actually even start on their honeymoon. And then when they get back from their honeymoon, of course, Donkey shows up and they get summoned to the land of Far, Far Away, which Fiona's parents, who are king and queen of Far, Far Away, ask her to come. And they're worried because, of course, at the end of Shrek 1, Fiona turns out to, of course, is cursed to be an ogre at night and human by day. And because her true love's kiss is Shrek, she turns into full ogre. They go, and of course there's the human parents don't accept Shrek. They're upset that their child's still an ogre. And then the fairy godmother, who of course the king asked to try to get rid of Shrek, tries to get rid of Shrek by hiring Puss in Boots as an assassin. Puss in Boots joins the team. And then overall, it ends up Shrek takes a potion to become human because he wants to be with his wife. And at the very end of the movie, they have the opportunity to kiss and then stay as humans, but Fiona chooses to be an ogre with her true love, and they go back to their swamp. And it turns out that her dad was the Frog Prince the whole time. Harold, the Frog Prince, of course. Does that help, Rob? I mean, it's a tale.
Came back to me a little bit, yeah.
It's a tale as old as time. I mean, as somebody who's seen the Shrek musical so much, I understand why you're so focused in Shrek 1 lore. But again, Shrek 2 is a great film, and I really recommend. Also, of all of you who have flocked and subscribed to the Peacock app, there's Shrek, of course, is on there, available to view.
Okay. Akiva, any other questions about why Shrek 2 is the greatest film of all time?
No, I think he's convinced me. It is the finest film ever made.
Great.
Okay. All right.
Can I say, Rob, so Tim was wearing a Shrek mask and a Shrek hat. Would you rather get the Shrek, how about this?
A Shrek,
he's wearing a Shrek shirt.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. Would you rather wear a Shrek mask for the next 3 months or just get the UK variant of the coronavirus and see what happens?
Well, that is my mask I have been wearing.
Akiva, I mean, am I going anywhere? Like, is it like, am I just wearing the mask when I leave the house, or am I wearing the mask in the house?
Do you wear a mask in your house sometimes?
Not normally.
So,
I mean,
if you leave the house, you have to wear the Shrek
I would
mask.
rather wear the mask when I leave the house.
Yeah, okay. So, all right, you would rather that than get corona. Okay.
I think you wear the mask after you Shrek and chill, right?
Okay.
Well, don't wear beforehand, or else. Yeah.
I think you have to wear it during if it's really that Shrek themed.
Yeah.
Do your kids are your kids and wife and everybody as into Shrek as you are, Tim?
My kids like Shrek a lot. I don't think they're as into Shrek. This year, one of my students told my wife, hey, what do you like? You asked my wife essentially that same question. My wife said, you like Shrek? And I was like, oh no, the dark secrets come out.
How much access do your wife to your students have exactly?
Not a ton, and this was like a special final, and she was there
your
to
wife
watch all
doesn't
my
know you
students
like
film.
Shrek?
She does now. It's just like something that doesn't pay attention.
Obviously, like a
she's
secret
seen
life that you lead.
Yeah, I'm a Shrekophile in secret. No, she just knows that I watch a lot of kids movies. I love kids movies. In fact, I agree a lot with the presentation about how adult cartoons are great, but also I think normal cartoons are great. I'm in for any type of kids content is great in my opinion. And so I think it's just one of those things where I think my wife didn't really pay attention because we've been married for 17 years, and also it's not something I would really go out and say hey, check out this.
Even though you took her to see all 4 films in the theater.
No, we were that was early in the relationship, and we were seeing most movies in the theater. I mean, most animated films. She just didn't realize I liked Shrek as much as I did.
Okay.
Or did.
Shrek. or I'm sorry, I'm referring you to as Shrek. Tim,
Cool.
if you could
What an
take
honor,
the
Rob.
potion and turn into an ogre, would you do it?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sure. I mean, I'm pretty ogreish already. I mean, the potion makes you look beautiful, right? Like it's in the movie, it says it makes you look fine. And I mean, Shrek's the type, I gotta say. Speaking of Shrek, where's the cookie jar, Rob?
Right here.
There we go. Great.
Here it is. When you open it up.
It's gonna be fun. We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making WAP.
That's an all-time GOAT donkey quote right there. And please don't burn that quote, Greg.
Oh, Shrek, did you do that? Man, you gotta warn somebody before you just crack one off. My mouth was open and everything.
Believe me, donkey, if it was me, you'd be dead.
You'd be dead.
Yeah.
Look, you love this woman, don't you? Yes. You wanna
These are very lengthy quotes that come out of this thing.
I'm disappointed how heavily it relies on donkey too, and of course, no famous Shrek 2 quotes. Yeah, I mean, Kelly made me cut out the whole like best scene of Shrek 2.
Yeah, Kelly really the villain here.
Yeah. Okay.
She's really the fairy godmother of my presentation.
Listen, somebody has to be the villain.
Okay. All right. Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to talk more about the entire Shrek universe in a future.
Oh, sure. No question.
RAANAP episode.
Yes. All right.
Shrek cinematic universe.
Yeah, into the Shrekiverse. We have to go into the Shrekiverse.
All right. There you have it. All right. Kelly, what a fantastic inaugural
Amazing
RAANAP
job,
X
Kelly.
here today.
I hope, I don't know, maybe someone learned something. There was a
It was
very diverse
informative.
A lot of
set of
learning. I think
topics.
everyone learned,
Yeah.
especially the people who listen to the first 4 of them.
That was incredible. Akiva, any other thoughts on RAANAP X?
I enjoyed it. I'd be happy to, do another one at some point in the near future. I thought Kelly killed it. She got some really good guests. We did a good job. I think we're gonna, for the mailbag, I think we're gonna, because we can't have 8 people, I think it's gonna be me, you, and Kelly. But I was wondering, should we go around quickly and ask and say goodbye to our other panelists, ask them if they have anything they want to pitch for the mailbag, or if they just want to say goodbye or plug anything.
All right, let's have our panelists pop back on. Okay. All right. Let's go around the horn. Back to Greg. Greg, did you have anything you wanted to throw at us while you're here?
I have a pitch. It's a little complicated, but
perfect.
So it's Rob and Akiva hold a treasure hunt.
Hold the treasure hunt.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is there was this dude who like wrote a book, and the book was a clue
Forrest
to where you
Fenn?
could find. Yeah, Forrest Fenn. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And it was a clue, and you could go and find the treasure, right? So I
Yes.
was thinking you all could create a treasure hunt, or somebody could create a treasure hunt. And the idea is like, at the beginning of the week when it comes up on the wheel, Akiva tweets out a clue, and it leads to something. And like, so maybe it's I don't know. It's a Sporkle quiz of like 50 things that you have to decide if Kirsten McInnes would rank them as a salad or a sandwich, right? And you get them all right, and then you DM that to Kirsten, and she gives you the next clue, and like on and on like that. It's like this whole series of like puzzles and clues through the RAANAP-averse, and then at the end, the person who solves it the first comes on the show and gets a prize of some sort. They get on the mailbag, and then you go through all of the puzzles on the show.
So we've discussed this a lot on News AF, that Danny and Tyson were very familiar with the Forrest Fenn saga. I do believe that more than one person might have died looking for Forrest Fenn.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would die doing this.
I hope
Good
not.
PR for us.
I don't know if that's as good of a podcast as it is like a fun adventure for someone. And also, I'm not sure necessarily like how we figure out the logistics of
Especially
outside
in
of
COVID
putting
era.
something on my block or Akiva's block. I'm not sure how we're getting to go and plant these clues around the world.
Well, I figured all of the clues would be online. I don't think you have to actually go and physically get any of the clues. It would be something more internet based.
What do we burn though? I'm really interested in burning.
You could take a video of burning Shrek 2 DVDs.
No, too far.
Whoever burns the most Shrek 2 DVDs gets to get the next clue.
This is taking a
That's
very
just-
dark turn.
Mhm.
Stay
Yeah.
away
Just
from my
environmentally
garage.
problematic.
Mm.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
Perhaps
true.
maybe like
That's
the
true.
next RAANAP live event, maybe we could get there could be some sort of a scavenger hunt element involved.
Yeah, that was my alternative idea. Was Rob and Akiva do a scavenger hunt
Rob and
where you have to
Akiva,
go and
yeah.
get where you have to go
That's a
and
new
get
nickname.
things,
Don't be an
and they're
overachiever.
ranked in difficulty.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Maybe we'll plan that into our next Rob and Akiva trip in sometime in 2023.
In 2028 or
Are
something.
you writing
yes.
2022 off already, Rob? I'm not writing 2022 off.
We'll see. Let's see how it goes.
I think 2022 there could be live events.
Okay. I'll keep our fingers crossed. All right. How about Goldie? Do you have a pitch?
Well, I do believe I already pitched you something.
Yes.
That's right.
But
She wants Daria.
yes, but also I really
I
want you
feel
to
like
watch.
we already got it.
Okay, if you don't want to watch Daria and Beavis and Butthead, I would really like it if you watch the House Hippos PSA. Been
The
talking
House
about it for
Hippos.
Yes, that was my original pitch for Canadian PSAs are trash. It's House Hippos. It convinced everybody in Canada that House Hippos were a real thing. It's very
House
important.
Hippos. Is it a commercial?
It's a public service announcement.
You want to play it now, Rob?
Yeah, I'll
Is
play
it short?
Sure.
It's
Pretty
pretty,
short.
Okay. All right. House Hippo. All right. This is from August of 2006. Will the audio only do it justice? Let's see. Okay. This has over 1.6 million views on the YouTube. Okay. Here's a House Hippo PSA.
It's nighttime in a kitchen just like yours. All is quiet. Or is it? The North American house hippo is found throughout Canada and the eastern United States. House hippos are very timid creatures and are rarely seen, but they will defend their territory if provoked.
Amanda, a house hippo is very tiny. I think it's exceptionally gross.
Oh my gosh. How cute
Very-
is a
It's very
teeny
tiny.
tiny
It's
hippo?
like the size of a rat. Yeah.
Come out at night to search for food, water, and materials for their nests. The favorite foods of the house hippo are chips, raisins, and the crumbs from peanut butter on toast. They build their nests in bedroom closets, using lost mittens, dryer lint, and bits of string. The nests have to be very soft and warm. House hippos sleep about 16 hours a day.
That looked really real, but you knew it couldn't be true, didn't you? That's why it's good to think about what you're watching on TV and ask questions, kind of like you just did. A message from Concerned Children's Advertisers.
That was it? Did I get it right, Goldie?
Yeah, nobody listens to the last 5 minutes of the or seconds of the ad, so everybody thought house hippos were real.
Yeah. Wow. Is there a lot of false advertising for children's products that if you paid better attention, you would know they weren't real?
Not
Yeah.
anymore. Not now after the
Yeah,
House
they
Hippos
solved it.
PSA.
Yeah. Like what were they is this like cereal ads or like they're saying like cereal is healthy or something like that?
I think it was supposed to be media literacy generally, which might have been helpful.
Yeah.
I think in general, most people say that there are movies that are better than Shrek 2, but that is false advertising.
Okay.
Exactly.
He's got a
Right.
one-track mind.
Yeah, no, Tim is really a master of brand consistency.
Mhm.
Everyone but your wife knows.
That was can we go back to your wife's reaction to finding out that you were a Shrek stan?
Sure. I was standing. The student said, "Yeah, Tim's really into Shrek, huh?" And my wife just said, "You're into Shrek?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Doesn't she know that you have that shirt and the mask and the hat?
Did
and-
she not follow you on Twitter?
She's seen it. No, does not follow. My wife is a much better person than me. Not on Twitter. So,
She was deplatformed.
yeah. She's been kicked off of all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even Pinterest?
Nope. Yeah, that was what got her kicked
Cancel
off,
culture is a bitch.
was her
Wow.
pins. Yeah.
Do we call Shrek fans Shrekies?
I say Shrekophiles, but that's because I absolutely love Shrek. I mean, I think Shrekies are good too. I'm a Shrekspert, of course. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Amanda Rabinowitz, do you have a pitch for the wheel?
I have an idea for the variety pack.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I've always thought that the segment that's they do on sometimes on Comedy Bang Bang, I think Akiva, you listen to that sometimes. They do a Would You Rather segment where there's a would you rather question, and then all the panelists ask more detailed questions. So it's like, would you rather have your fingers be hot dogs or have to wear a Shrek mask all the time? And then you ask more questions, and then sort of the person can kind of fill out all of the other ridiculous consequences of each of the choices, and then you pick one. I always thought that was funny. It's probably not enough for a whole episode, but could maybe be part of a variety pack.
We did. But we included a couple of them, if I remember correctly, into the census. We had a couple like wacky questions.
Would you rather?
Like that.
Yeah.
It is a little bit stealing another podcast bit, also.
We never do that.
Oh,
No.
never. That never happens.
Well,
here.
nobody's ever done. They've never done Comedy Bang Bang X.
Okay.
Well, that was all I got. I thought I'd throw it out there.
Amanda, what do you make of the new updates to the RAANAP bot?
Oh, I mean, the RAANAP bot is really, I mean, Dan Schiffman has been really busy working on that. So now the RAANAP bot is actually is pitching season 3, episode 7's and crappy movie diaper entries. It's they're not like the essence of RAANAP bot. I think that like when the RAANAP bot's just like, what about this movie, and like pick something with a low rating. But maybe it'll bring some things to the surface that have been overlooked.
Yeah, it's almost like spitting out like random IMDb pages.
Right.
Yes,
But I think
Tim.
I have a feeling. Oh, sorry, Tim.
Dr. Amanda, can you get more Shrek content into the RAANAP bot's brain, please? Not enough Shrek related pitches.
I do think that that Dan is feeding more into the RAANAP bot as we speak.
Sure.
So he's been reaching out to people to get more content. Shrek is definitely in the RAANAP bot's brain. The RAANAP bot does tweet about Shrek, Tim, but not enough for your liking.
Especially not Shrek. Can we get Shrek 2 focused?
Shrek 2 specifically, right?
I mean, the whole basis of the RAANAP bot is transcribing RAANAP episodes to text to put into it. So if you transcribe this episode, then I would think from this alone, it's going to dramatically increase the RAANAP bot's awareness of Shrek.
That's why I'm here. I'm trying to Shrek jam the RAANAP bot.
Mission accomplished. Okay. And then Morgan, how about from you?
I don't have an idea. Just want to say thanks to Kelly because I think she did a great job.
Yes.
Great
Bravo,
job,
Kelly, for putting together the RAANAP X panel.
Yeah, appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter at Morgan from Australia or podcasting weekly on Laura After Hours.
Okay. What do you podcast about?
It's a podcast about a podcast that used to be about sports and be on ESPN, but kind of just became a pirate ship to nowhere now. And
Okay, it was a podcast about a podcast. I'm intrigued.
Yes, the original show that we listened to was the Dan Le Batard show.
Yes.
On ESPN, and a group of fans got together and started podcasting about it. And,
yes.
Yeah. So now we're just floating off into the ocean and seeing where that takes us.
Okay. All right. This is very interesting. Okay, I want to hear more about this. But thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Then anybody else want to give out a social media plug?
At Q26.
Yes.
It's at GM Paul on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay, that's Goldie. Okay, and Dr. Amanda Rabinowitz.
Please, everybody, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Dr. Amanda R. That's Dr. Amanda R. And I'd also like to plug my Psych Rewatch podcast with the great Jason Curtis Rivera. And that's
Best friend.
I Know You Don't Know. My best friend, famously, best friend, collaborator, and colleague, Jason Curtis Rivera. I Know You Don't Know.
Okay. And of course, at Shut Up Tim.
At Shut Up Tim, I did notice I got skipped for pitching an idea.
Oh, sorry about that.
I assume that's intentional.
I mean, do you have another idea?
I mean, I have a lot of ideas if you want to hear it, Rob, but I do think
do they all involve Shrek?
This one's not Shrek related. I actually have a mechanism idea for the fishbowl if you're interested. I think you should add a couple of balls into the fishbowl that aren't TV show related. It's a mechanism. When you pull it out, the mechanism's activated, and this is the Boomer versus Zoomer mechanism where you then pull two balls. One has to be one of the boomer shows and one has to be one of the non-boomer shows, and you watch both that week.
Give an example.
Yeah, like Gilligan's Island versus what's the, I can't think of a modern one that's in there. Like it would be Riverdale. Like, what if you watch Gilligan's Island and Riverdale? Are there connections? Are there not connections? Also, you appease the boomers and the zoomers. So the people who like the old shows will get partial content, and the people who don't like the old shows got a new show too. And you could have dueling guests who represent each show, and then they can talk about why.
Okay.
One is good and one's not good.
There could be something here. I'm wondering maybe it's not a fishbowl idea, but what about the idea of sort of like boomer, zoomer, Akiva, where we have like we have one of our older listeners, like one of our 60 plus listeners. We get them to watch like a show that's like a favorite of one of our like early 20 listeners, and then vice versa.
Not a bad idea. I think we could put it sort of in the fishbowl. We've watched so much also. I don't want to like add a lot of watching ideas, but I do like it. Goldie points out, where do the millennials get left out here? Like they're in the middle. They have nothing.
Let me say watching ideas are fine. That there's no problem with watching ideas. So let me fight back against that take. The watching ideas are fine. It's what we watch.
But you did see people were dropping that
I did, and that was because of that we ended up running into not the most interesting things to watch. It wasn't that there's a problem with ideas of watching things. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, and I think that this actually helps solve the idea, because if it's a show that people are like, I don't care about Gilligan's Island at all, that's an old show for old people, you have a counterpoint right there as well, and that draws everybody in, and maybe they could say like, I like this part or not that part, but it'd be interesting to see if like something old somehow has elements to something new, even if it's like totally two random shows.
All right, I'll
I'm
consider.
not ready to
it.
put it on the wheel. I think this may be.
I want to hear the right two shows for it. Maybe we could look in the fishbowl, see which two go against each other. But it's interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you to our esteemed panelists. Great job, and of course, Kelly, thank you again for putting this all together.
Thank you, Kelly.
We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got a mailbag. Kelly is sticking around, and we'll talk about what's coming up on the wheel next here on Rob and Akiva Need a Podcast.